Good afternoon. The band is all back. Welcome to our Homebuyer Seminar every Wednesday, 4 o'clock, unless it's at 5 o'clock. I'm Bill Gross, broker in West Los Angeles, California, along with my very good friend
Yes, Patricia Castillo.
and our good friend, Gustavo Segura. He's a mute.
Gustavo
He doesn't
Segura.
really
Hello,
speak.
everybody.
He doesn't really talk. He's just a pretty face we hired to be on the call. He doesn't really know anything about the business.
He's just taking notes.
I'll say this: you better have some fun in real estate because this is a tough business. This is not playtime. This is not HGTV. That's not real life. You can watch HGTV if you enjoy it, but real estate today, you better roll up your sleeves. I had a buyer who was just jerking us around, and we canceled the escrow. We sent him a 3-day notice to perform. He didn't respond. We canceled the escrow, and he was writing this email like insulting me back and forth. And I said, "We canceled your escrow. Why are you sending me this?"
Yeah, you're no longer in the game. You're out.
You're out. You can be on the outside talking about how mean I was to you, but sorry, not sorry. I'm protecting my customer. So Homebuyer Seminar. So the bad news in the world is, tensions maybe leading to World War III, a nuclear war, people being murdered, beheaded, killed, bombed, starved. All that's horrific. The good news is interest rates came down about 0.25%. And it sounds counterintuitive, but in times of strife, two things happen that are related. One, people stop doing economic stuff. They watch the TV, they're scared, they're home, they're talking to their loved ones, they're take care of the loved ones. But economic activity goes down. And then what happens there is the rates also come down, right? So Gustavo, give us an update. Where are interest rates and what's going on with them and what do we need to pay attention to?
Yeah, like you mentioned, uncertainty in the market in the world causes investors to put their money in safe places. Those safe places tend to be bonds, tend to be, safer investment opportunities. So then that creates a little bit more demand for that. So then mortgage rates come down, and as you mentioned, it came down about a quarter. You can see there 7.8, and I think right now we're right around 7.6 on the average over the last 2 days. So activity may be welcoming, but like you said, it does come at a price, and it's unfortunate that that kind of turmoil needs to happen in order for the market to react this way.
Yeah, and I think the flip side is it sounds good the rates are down, but in general, people are hesitant, and I think tend to overreact. I remember when the first Iraq war was that 98 or so, when we first bombed Iraq the first time, I would say 97, 98. And we used to have a board in my office with all the deals we put up on them, and we would do maybe 40, 50 deals a month. And I remember it was like the 20th of the month we had one deal. Because, people are rightfully, on one hand, concerned. Is the world coming to an end? I don't want to be in escrow in a house and put my money in escrow and all that. And then I think we overreact. We imagine, well, the world's going to come to an end, but, it didn't, at least in my lifetime yet. Maybe it'll end tonight. I don't know. But my point is, I'm sorry?
That's why we're still here.
We're still here. This is not a recording. We're actually live right now on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. But the point is that people overreact, and that's the opportunity. Somebody falls out of escrow, you have a chance to jump in, maybe at a lower price. Maybe you got overbid, and maybe they'll reconsider your offer at a lower price and get you in escrow right now. This is opportunity for people who have confidence, have the right resources. So what do you see, Patricia? How's this affecting buyers? How's it affecting showings and in your activity?
Well, showings have been pretty strong. I had a couple open houses recently. My own listing, one of them was your listing, and both were equally busy. So it's a combination of neighbors wanting to come see their neighbor's house, and they also have relatives or children that are adults already, have grandkids, and they want them to be closer to their aging parents. So I've seen a lot of activity. What I'm also seeing is managing expectations with clients. So what I mean by that is right now, because the market is, seems to be softening a little bit as far as getting multiple offers on a property, where earlier this year, we might have received 10 offers, 7 to 10 offers. Now we're getting, maybe 3 offers on a property. So I have seen buyers that are very, very interested and pre-qualified, and spoken to them, and they're just not ready to pull the trigger. It's like they're still on the sidelines waiting to see, our rates going to come down, our price is going to come down. And so even providing the data to them to show, what statistically what's happening, um, it's still something that, the buyer or the seller has to really make that decision whether to move forward. And even dealing with, a seller, and sometimes they may get an offer on a property that they're not really happy with. They might be thinking it should be more, in terms of over asking. And so those are things to look at to see where is the market going. And us as professionals, we look at, what happened 2 months ago. Where is the trend going right now as we're entering, holiday season? We're almost up to Halloween, and then we have Thanksgiving in about a month from now. So a lot of people tend to kind of sit back and wait out the holidays and then ramp up again at the beginning of the new year. So I'm kind of seeing some hesitancy. Even where I live in Downey, there's usually homes that were being sold, within at least 2 weeks of the homes being listed. Right now, their average is like 30 days, on the market. So homes are taking a little bit longer to sell, at least in the area that I'm working in. And it kind of changes because when you look at like San Fernando Valley, some of those areas are hot as well, and homes are selling in faster than 30 days. So it just kind of depends on buyer activity per market.
Yeah. Also, I think in a market like this, real estate agents get a little more desperate and overpromise the list price. That's another reason why they take longer to sell. Is when you look at the stats, I don't know about Downey. Overall, prices are flat, but the sales are down by 30-40%. And the dollars of commissions are down by about 30-40%. So I think you see real estate agents taking listings they might not in the past, whether they're smaller or harder work or overpriced, and keeping on the market when maybe it doesn't make sense too. So, Gustavo, what do you see as far as buyers pre-qualifying and such?
Yeah, so I just ran some numbers because I wanted to kind of put some figures for you guys. There's a little bit of a hesitant, over the last month since September, we've gotten that increase coming up on interest rates. And, say you're at 7% and you go up to 7.5 and you're like, well, it's only 0.5%. What does that look like? But if you have a $650,000, $700,000 loan amount and it's going up 0.5%, you're talking over $200. So on a monthly budget, with inflation, with the cost of gasoline, with the cost of foods, all those kinds of things, people start thinking about it. So I definitely have this conversation with everybody about their finances, about this is where you're at right now. Yes, you can refinance later on, but a year, 12 months, that may be, a very long time for some individuals. So I feel now, my due diligence is to make sure that everybody's informed of where they're at and what it means. Yes, it's going to be a better investment than renting. I got examples as well of people that are paying close to $4,000 on rent. So they're like, I need to go and buy something,
Right.
but there's also going to be a higher cost of buying within the first 2 years. You got your down payment, you got, your taxes, all those kinds of things. And then eventually year 3, 4, 5, you start getting the benefits of home ownership. So I've been doing a lot more of that. I guess you can call it, financial home education, of what it means to go from renting to home ownership within the first 2 years. Yes, you're going to get that higher cash out of pocket, but it is going to pay off in the longer. And then if you decide to wait, I completely understand it as well, because it is $200-$300 more because the rates went up. So if we can get these rates to come down 0.5%, that's $200-$300 that will be, very welcoming to a lot of households.
So when you say if we get the rates to come down, you mean if you can personally, we just need you to do that for us, right?
Yes, exactly.
It's your rate sheet, so just print up one that says 5% and let's get going.
And let's go with that one. Yeah. Yeah. No, I really try to keep it. I haven't been quoting over 8 yet. So for anybody out there that's been getting over 8%, I haven't gone there. I'm still getting people into 7.8, 7.5, and that's with no cost. There's no points in that. So on the wholesale side, I'm trying to keep the rates, as lean as possible because I also understand that everybody's really trying a big effort to get into that home.
What are you looking at for, let's say, an FHA? Usually, first-time buyers will gear towards FHA loans because they only require 3.5% down.
Yeah.
So, what percentage are you in right now for a FHA loan for 30
Yeah,
years?
so that I'm around a 6.75, no cost. Like I said, there's no points on that. We're not charging anything additional. So 6.8, somewhere around there. And that's with the credit score that they may have a 650, 640. So it's not, perfect score or anything like that, but we're still, like I said, below 7% for sure on that. And that's with no cost.
Come on, Gustavo, you can do better.
I
Sharpen
know.
that pencil.
Let me go back, talk to my financing manager like they do
Yes.
in the car dealerships. Yeah,
Yes.
let me see what I can do. Yeah.
So I do know that there are, home builders. It's a very common home building business
Hmm.
where they will advertise what you've talked about in the past as a buy down, and they will, in some cases, they'll buy a block of money. In many cases, they just offer a certain amount of loans at a certain price, and then advertise. Every home buyer who signs a contract this weekend, we will lock in your rate at 5%, 4.5%, because they're buying it down by paying us amount of money. And I think it's really important. Those are people who are good salespeople. I think we as real estate agents need to do the same. And I think we also need to look at the listings we have and say, how else can we offer that? Because as you showed in the past, those buy downs, they break even after
Yeah.
3 or 4 years, but the customer enjoys that lower rate. If they're worried about these rates for a long term, they're going to enjoy that for a long time.
Yeah. And the buy downs are.
Oops,
I think pros.
I think he got the phone to lower his interest rates on his rate sheet.
Yeah, I mean, meanwhile he comes back, I was just looking at the listing activity. So right now in my area, there are 32 listings with 5 price reductions. So not huge as far as price adjustments, but there's a few. And like you mentioned earlier, prices are kind of staying flat where they're not really skyrocketing anymore. They're not lowering at a significant pace. They're just kind of holding steady.
Yeah, I think that's what we've seen overall nationally in most markets. Some markets are dropping, particularly those that ran up really hard, really fast. Second homes, high-end, homes maybe are under a lot of pressure. Downey, Beverly Hills of the 562, but I still think it doesn't quite hit that number where people still can afford, to pay that. So Gustavo, I'm sorry, we cut you off there part way. We're talking about home builders and buy downs. I don't know if you're having connection problems. Are you able to
Yeah.
jump?
Yeah, so it makes sense. It's affordable if you got a seller that's willing to work with you. Both seller and buyer understand the situation in this high rate environment and make it work. They come together on there. The builders really do have an advantage because they control the product and then also the financing. So they may pay you $20,000 for these buy downs, but guess what? The house is all of a sudden $20,000 higher in price. So there's a little bit of that, and that's hard to compete against from any side of the financing, whether it's retail or wholesale. It's very hard for us to compete with someone like a builder that is going to offer that 5% or even 6%, and they're going to give you incentives and all those kinds of things, right? That are going to make it more attractive for a home buyer. But we don't know where the house or that actual price of the house is. They probably raised it up the weekend before or something to account for that. So it makes it hard for us, but definitely, if you're out there and you have a house or a seller that's willing to work with you, the buy downs can really make a big difference on your payment and the ability to get into a house now rather than later.
Yeah, it's strategizing with both agents coming
Yeah.
together and strategizing so it's a win situation for both sides, not just the buyer but the seller as well. So they get their price, and the buyer also gets an affordable rate that they can maintain for at least the first few years or maybe the remainder of the loan.
Right. Yeah, with a permanent buy down.
Nice. Well, again, that's a great strategy in different areas. There's low-income buyer programs, and in LA we have the MIPA and LIPA programs. And so if you have those questions, reach out to Gustavo. We've talked those in past episodes. Talk to Patricia, talk to Gustavo, and we're more glad to work that out with you. Okay, any big news coming up? Any particular big other than prospective World War III? Other than that,
Well, we do have inflation reports coming out this week. So today we had on the wholesale side, the wholesale inflation, which went up, but it wasn't enough to overcome what's going on, like I said, in the world. So that's why the rates still continue to get better. But we did have inflation at the wholesale side, meaning the producers of the goods and services, the material, right? So coming up next is going to be the consumer side of the inflation report. So we are expecting it to come down a little bit. And if that's the case, maybe we can have a good day tomorrow and then into Friday so that we can start bouncing back more into 7.5 and then maybe eventually even a little bit lower. So we'll keep an eye on that.
okay. And if it doesn't work out good, you're not happy with the rates, call Gustavo.
Yeah.
His phone number is
We'll give you his mailing address and his phone number.
Exactly. Yeah.
because it's his fault. He's the one really. The whole thing is all tied up with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, some good information. Thank you for sharing with us, Gustavo and Patricia. It's always great to see you. For the rest of you, if you have any questions, you're always welcome to jump on live and put comments in. Say hi. Tell them that I'm your favorite. If one of the others is your favorite, don't bother putting it in the comment section. We don't really care. Any last parting words, Gustavo?
No, always talk to a professional. I just talked to somebody yesterday that was talking to family members and all that, and getting advice. And I talked to them about how it works, the financing, the type of loans. And of course, they did not have a full picture. So I was always say, talk to a professional. It doesn't cost anything. It's all free advice, and it's much better than actually talking to someone that's not in the industry and it's not getting all these updates.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Patricia, any last words you have for our buyers today?
Yes, I'm going to be hosting an open house in Long Beach. So if you know anybody that might be interested in a 4-bedroom, 2-bath home in the Wrigley Heights area, it's a really nice location, and it's priced very competitively at $795. So it's an amazing opportunity to get into a spacious home in a nice neighborhood. So,
Nice.
so contact us if you'd like to just have maybe a quick view of what you might qualify for, and then we can meet you at the open house and get it all zipped up for you.
And when is the open house?
Saturday and Sunday this weekend, 1
What
to
time?
4 p.m.
Who's a listing agent on that property?
Yours truly.
I love hearing that. I
Yes.
love hearing that. I love when she's too busy to talk to us because she's listing property. There's nothing better. You're doing great, Patricia. Thank you. Gustavo, thank you for being on, giving us the lender insight. Appreciate you as always. I'm Bill Gross. We do this every Wednesday about 4 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock, depending on our schedules. But we're here for you every day. So reach out, call, text, or email if we can help you. And as always, make today your best day ever. Thank you, everybody.
Right.
Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.